It is Friday. It is April 24th. I just rode 24K. It was really hard. Weirdly, yesterday when I rode 23K, my Whoop told me that I burned 1400 calories, right? So this is yesterday. 1400 calories. See that? 23,000 meters. And this is today. 24,000 meters, but only 773 calories. I don't know. My heart rate just didn't get that high. I don't know why that is. I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm sort of wondering if any of you guys know why something like that would happen. Maybe the technology's off. I'm not really sure. But I'd love to figure that out. That's my big mystery for today. Last night, I did something. I put on Facebook. I said a sentence I never thought I'd say, which is I just dry lubed my erg chain. So my erg, as you know, if you guys know, like an erg, a rowing machine. So you sit on the rowing machine and you pull the handle back, and the chain comes out of the flywheel, and you pull it back as the seat slides. And so I'm on there and I'm doing this crazy calendar challenge where every day we row 1K for every day of the month that it is. So today's April 24th. You rowed 24K. Yesterday was April 23rd. I rowed 23K. But each day the erg's gotten like a little jankier and jankier, and it's just getting like kind of ruddy. So I'll be pulling it. It's like as it pulls back, which of course makes it a lot harder. So I realized that I probably need to do something about it. So I pulled the whole chain out yesterday. I cleaned it. I put some of the dry lube spray on it, like WD-40, and when I got on this morning, it was like it slid really, really nicely. And then as I kept going, it kind of got ruddy again. And I looked at the circle, like the fan that you can see, the cage, as I'm pulling back, and I noticed that there was like dreck in there. There was like schmutz. I don't know how many other Yiddish words do I have. There was dreck, there was schmutz, there was just dust, right? There was like crap that was in there. So I think I'm gonna have to take the whole thing apart. This weekend because I have to row 26K, 27K, 28K, 29K, and 30K in the next 5 days. And doing that with resistance every single time is going to really fucking suck. So as I was on the erg, I started thinking a little bit about this idea of resistance. So I don't, again, I don't know who's here because I can't see on Ecamm who's joining. Tell me if you're here. Tell me what you're thinking about these days. I'm thinking about resistance. And I'm thinking about resistance insofar as there is resistance that's in our lives that we know about and we accept. And then there's resistance that's in our lives that we don't know about and it's just kind of there. And we tend to figure out that this resistance exists when we run smack into it, or in my case, row smack into it. And I was thinking about how, in this idea of like finding resistance and going head on into resistance, like what happens? Like you run smack into resistance and then you make this decision like, okay, I guess it's just going to be harder from here on out, or no, I'm not going to accept this. So I think there are these ideas that we can, I heard somebody say something once that what you don't challenge, what you don't change, you accept. What you don't challenge, what you don't change, you accept. And I was sitting on my erg and I was thinking, damn it, this is getting harder again. Here is the resistance again. I thought I cleaned it yesterday and it's back. And I can decide, well, fine, I'm just going to row the next 180,000 miles or whatever, meters or whatever is left with this resistance because it's here. Or I can just this weekend figure out something I've never done before and take the entire thing apart and clean it and see what happens. So I was thinking a lot about other things in my life, like where is the resistance in my life and where is the resistance right now? And obviously part of the resistance is this, massive quarantine, COVID-19. But within that resistance, I think that there's other parts that we create in our own lives that give us resistance. So, you know, in my experience, it's being angry with my family members if they're not doing their chores. Or it's my presupposition that that quarantine has to be a certain way and success in the quarantine is a certain thing and I need to learn how to bake fucking bread or whatever the things are that I bring into it that are actively putting resistance in my own life, or maybe expectation of when it's going to end. Last night I got in bed and I was looking at some of the news stories from the day, and I saw that our governor said that we were having this really big peak day and we are dead in the middle of the surge right now. And the mayor of Boston said that he expects that we're going to have some form of the way it is today, probably for another 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 weeks. And I had this moment. It's not that I didn't know that things were going to be like this for a while. I mean, we're in pretty bad shape here in Massachusetts. It's that I just had this expectation that if we did the right thing, if we were the good eggs, if we stayed home, if we quarantined, it would just somehow end sooner. And so there's all this resistance that's being placed in our lives right now that we don't have a choice about. But then I think a lot of us, like me, are actively putting additional resistance into our lives. So what if the dog doesn't get bathed on Thursday and the dog gets bathed on Saturday instead? As long as the dog gets bathed once a week, fine. I don't know about you, but our dog stinks. I don't know how she looks so regal. She looks so pretty. And she makes stink like a teenage boy. It's gross. But, who cares, right? Like, why am I taking that and putting that burden on myself and carrying those rocks around in my backpack? So that's my thing for today, is really just to think about resistance. What kind of resistance are you putting in your own life? There's so much resistance that's out there right now that putting additional resistance in our lives is crazy. So it's Friday. Last Friday, we talked about how to do nothing over the weekend. I'm curious who's going to do nothing over the weekend. One of the things that I did last weekend is I actually prepped dinners for every night this week. Crazy. I made a lasagna. I made 2 chicken pot pies. We only had one. One is for next week. I marinated cod in this great miso marinade. I guess obviously that's what you marinated in. And I made one other dish that I can't even remember. Oh, venison chili. So I made meals for almost every night this week. And what are we going to have tonight? I don't know. Probably leftovers of one of those things. But I realized the week before that the making of dinner every single night was exhausting. Like, I would go through my day spending the time trying to figure out how the hell to resurrect this business that I spent the last 2 years building. I'd go through the day trying to get all the little picky details of all the notebook and the course offering and all the stuff for this e-course that I'm creating. And I'd go through the day trying to like snag an Instacart order time or think about, oh, do I have the cilantro for the tacos I'm supposed to make on Tuesday? And it was just wearing me down. Like that was resistance that I was putting into my own life. So my flow was hampered by the fact that the chain was super ruddy. So this past weekend, I spent like 4 hours on Sunday and I prepped all the food. It didn't save me any time. It's not like it was any faster because I did it on one day and not 4 days, but I didn't have resistance all day long every day. So your mileage may vary, right? Like you may have things in your life that are giving you resistance. Some of those things are things that you can't help, but they're there. Some of them you're realizing, oh, every day that's a drag. Like if there's something in your life that's a drag is resistance. So what can you do over this weekend to demarcate the weekend and make it different from what you're doing during the week and actually reduce the drag and the resistance that you have during the week so that you can row faster? That's it. That's what I'm thinking about today. I am going to go now. I'll leave you guys a little early because I have to run to Russo's. I'm getting my produce box for the week. What's in the produce box? They give you a list, but then there's also some random substitutions. We get one every couple weeks. And from there, I look at the produce box, I figure out what we're going to cook. I go into the freezer, I pull out some of the meats that I stocked up over the last few weeks. And then I go to Instacart and I try to figure out whatever the specific like herbs or fresh things or whatever it is that I need. Adria, thank you for joining. Yes, identify and overcome your resistance. The pandemic is making that drag super visual to me. Thank you for saying I'm a rock star. I think you are a rock star. I am so glad that you and your family are safe. I'm personally kind of selfishly happy that you're here and not in New York City yet. But I absolutely believe that. I think that why actively put additional rocks in our backpack and climb uphill? Like this quarantine, this crisis is uphill enough as it is, but to carry additional drag, I'm already carrying, you know, my husband's stress with, his work. I'm already carrying my kids' free fall and heartbreak right now about missing out on sports and theater and prom and all of that. I'm already carrying the worry of, for some of my friends that are going in every day to, hospitals and grocery stores and trying to run their businesses. Carrying additional stress, carrying additional resistance is just, it honestly, it gives us less energy for the things that really matter. So go out oh, Sam, they're sold out. Just book one right now for next week. Just go it. Just do it right now. They're really good. And I'll give you my zucchini bread recipe. This week, I'm going to actually make 4 of them and not 2 in the space of, I don't know if you guys know the story. I'll tell you really quickly. They gave us a bunch of zucchini. I hate zucchini. I think zucchini is disgusting. I happen to live in a house of 3 other people who also think zucchini is disgusting. So what are we gonna do with the zucchini? I'm Laura Ingalls Wilder right now, so of course I can't throw out the zucchini. I have to keep the zucchini. So what do we do with the zucchini? I'm gonna make zucchini bread, and so I found a recipe online, and I started making the zucchini bread, and then I put it in the oven, and I doubled the recipe because I had so much fucking zucchini. So I put these 2 loaf pans in the oven, and then they just started like, it was like, I see Miss Esther's on here, one of the teachers from my kids' Montessori school. So you will remember Miss Esther, the science fair, like the 2nd grade science fair, primary science fair, and all of a sudden it's like, right? The baking soda. Is it baking soda or baking powder? I think it's the baking soda volcanoes. Well, that's what happened to these zucchini breads. So the whole day I'm like cooking, and you're supposed to cook for like 40 minutes, and they're cooking, and like an hour and a half later they're still cooking and they're still mushy, and I'm busy like scraping the runoff off the bottom of the stove because of course it's like sugary. P.S. I know why banana bread tastes or zucchini bread tastes good, because it's 1 part zucchini and like 7 parts sugar. Pro tip: use sugar. It makes things taste good. So I'm scraping and I'm scraping out the whole while. It's like turning into black mush, and it's like smoke is getting everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, should I just take the zucchini bread out and toss it? Because best case scenario, it's going to be like smoked zucchini bread. It's so smoky in there. And Toby, my baker, comes downstairs and he's like, well, you might as well keep it in there now, because what else are you going to do with it? So I'm leaving it in there. I'm scraping. I'm leaving it. I'm scraping it. I'm, opening up the windows. And then finally it's done. And I take the banana breads out, and they are beautiful and they are delicious. And I look at Toby and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I mean, I know how to, I've baked before. I mean, I know I'm not as good a baker as you are. I baked before. I followed the directions. I don't know what happened. And now Toby is a baking snob. I mean, he's a snob about everything, but he's a baking snob. And I love to cook. He always makes fun of me because I cook by smell, right? Like I have my grandmother's genes. I'm like, it smells done. Like I taste something, I'm like, it needs this, it needs that. I sort of follow recipes ish. They're like, I sort of see them as suggestions more than directions. So I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, I baked them exactly by the directions. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, you didn't bake, you cooked. Oh, it was like he murdered me where I stood. It was bloodless. It was exquisite. I was horrified and also quite proud. I've raised him well. So then he's like, let me see the recipe. And he opens up the recipe. He's like, first line, this recipe makes 2 loaves. So I doubled the recipe thinking I was making 2 loaves. And in fact, I put 4 zucchini bread amounts in the amount that would be in a whole lot less. Or a whole lot more, rather. I put 4 into 2 when I should have put 4 into 4. See, I can't even do the math as I'm telling you the story now. The problem with baking is that it is way too much math and way too much chemistry, and I suck. I suck at both of those things. So, yeah, I'm now remembering I told you the story because I remember Chris Penn telling me that it was chemistry. So I will share with you, Sam, if you want, the zucchini bread recipe, and I will warn you not to double it, or if you're doubling it, know that you're doubling it, but that it makes 2 loaves. But they're good loaves. So figure out, Richard, this is why I'm in charge of cooking dinner and I have the number for delivery. My mother once told me that it's always home cooking if it's served on your own plates. She also told me that her mother, the same grandmother that I talked about who does the cooking, said you only have to be good in one room of the house and you get to pick the room. So maybe your room's not the kitchen. That's okay. I am aces in the foyer. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go pick up my box of random ass produce and I'm going to make random ass things this weekend and I'm going to reduce the drag and the resistance that I have for next week. And I encourage you to do the same. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy. Stay at home. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.